Alrighty, that's enough of that for our little placeholderishness. Turn the microphones back.
We're back.
On. Grok Talk, brought to you by GrantNetGrok.com and the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers. We are coming to you live, semi-live, trans-live.
From the Palatial Studios.
From the Palatial Studios in Concord, almost every week. Please check back for the podcast. Check us out on Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes, and iHeartRadio. We are, of course, also on Ustream for a couple weeks till those cycle out, but sometimes we're on YouTube. The audio is on YouTube. When I post to Spreaker, the audio automatically goes to my YouTube page, Steve McDonald. So you can hear it there, or you can listen to it, like I said, on any of your mobile devices, anywhere, anytime you want. They're all there on the internet for you to fisk and parse and to aggravate you or enervate you as you see fit. So we're going to try to close up with some local news items. There's a lot of things that did happen this week. We pointed out a few of them. We had a Super Tuesday. There was a debate, and we had the union leader walked back its support from Christie, wiping its brow, going, wow, that was dumb. Ben Carson was almost out and then finally out. CPAC is going on this weekend. A year ago, I took the Trump bus to CPAC.
Did you?
I was on the Trump bus.
Wow, that's nice.
And so my role was to go there, and I could get to be at CPAC. All I had to do was stand in the lobby when he came in and applaud, and
nice.
That was my job. And I did that, and then I went back to being at CPAC, which was cool. And I did call the show from CPAC.
I think I remember
the
that.
rare occasions when I
was
wasn't actually in the studio.
So isn't it curious that this year Trump decided at the last minute not to attend CPAC?
I
because
noticed that, yes.
Why would he? Why would
he
you
doesn't
go?
need to.
You know,
there's no reason for him to go.
There's no reason for him to go. They all hate his guts. All
Those
they
aren't
do
his
is try and
voters.
pick a
Yeah,
fight.
those are not his voters.
Those are not his voters, and Kansas is looking a little edgy right now with Rubio and Cruz both holding big rallies in Kansas today. Trump decided that Wichita had more appeal than CPAC.
And he should, because, I mean, his voters are, I think we've discovered, it's all about the ruling class thing. The reading and the newsread, that crap, it all leads to the point where people have said, and, Angelo Codevilla called it in 2010 when he said that the electorate that's not represented is going to get pissed off, and for good or bad, they are going to react. And this is them reacting. We have people who are conservatives, libertarians, solid right-wing Republicans who love Trump, and they don't care that you have no clue what he's going to do or where he's going to go. They just know that he is here to burn the party down, and they're happy to get behind him.
Yeah.
Matches in hand, torches and pitchforks. Let's
Absolutely.
go.
And burning the party down is fine, but the presidency of Trump may not be.
Well, that's the thing. And look at history.
Yeah.
We look at history. What predated all these other people who ended up being horrible? Or great, either way.
Yeah.
Either way.
People frustrated at their government and following a populist.
I mean, you could say you had Nixon in decline, you had Ford, who was nobody, you had Jimmy Carter, who was a reaction to that, which was awful, and then luckily we got Reagan. Okay, that's not always how it goes. Sometimes you start out with Bismarck, and you end up with a Hitler. And it doesn't start that way, and nobody plans it to be that way, but that's just how it rolls. And we've just had a very Imperial Presidency, okay, which has set a table, which almost anybody can sit down at now.
Yeah, I say often that be careful what your party permits or requests in the way of power to do things. Imagine the other guys with the same powers you just requested. Imagine, Obama has set this reckless agenda. He has made it so that he can do anything he wants with his pen and his phone. Now, as Steve says, anybody can come along and do that, and will probably get away with most of it. And that's downright scary. Obama's bad enough. Imagine what could be worse.
Well, if it's our guy.
Well, as long as our guy slashes and burns the government,
there's only one person who's going to do that.
We can safely say,
ain't Trump.
We can safely say that we, for the most part, have no problem going after anybody because we base our actions and reactions on principles and values and a set morality, whereas we don't know what certain people's set moralities and principles are. I went after that guy in Oregon about the pedophile thing, and I would give Kyle Tasker no less quarter, because it's not about whether or not he's a good vote or a bad vote, or whether or not he supports
He's a
things I believe.
scumbag.
It's the issue of the moral problem that I have with what he's doing. And so, people come to me and go, like, look, I've got close to 8,000 posts. You can go tell me where I have deviated, and I will be happy to address your concerns. And, of course, they're not going to do that, because who's going to look through 8,000 posts to find something? And they're not going to. They're not.
But you haven't deviated.
I haven't deviated because everything I do is based on a set of constitutional principles, Christian principles, rule of law, individual liberty.
Right and wrong.
There's evil in the world and there's good in the world, and I know the difference. And I'm not worried about transglacial feminism.
No,
so,
neither am I.
I have better things to focus on, like television shows that have no purpose but to entertain me. Those are more important.
Apocalypse. What a great show. What a great show. But the folks in Washington, truly, whether it's the president or senators or congressmen, don't give a damn about any of us.
No, they don't.
I mean, they trot through here and shake your hand and stick their hands in your wallet, and then they leave. And it isn't really going to matter. It's a question of the steepness of the slope, the steepness of the decline.
Yeah, how fast is that handbasket sliding down to hell?
Right, and New Hampshire doesn't really matter to anybody. It's only 1 million people. Our own senators don't give a damn about New Hampshire. The Congress people don't give a damn.
Yeah, they are not our senators.
Neither are the Congress people.
No, but especially the senators. Due to the 17th Amendment, the senators effectively always run national races. They think that they are a national legislative body. They think they are above and superior to the people of the individual states, who they just frankly don't care to represent. And that's why Kelly Ayotte is getting primaried. And we could wish there were more better people primarying, but you know what? I take my hat off for Jim Rubens to have the courage to stand.
Well, I would want to say that Stark 360, whether you like Rubens or not, has made a commitment to remove Kelly Ayotte from office.
Sure.
They have made a commitment to back Mr. Rubens because he's the candidate who's challenging her in the primary. Yes. And if he loses, they will spend gobs of money so that Andrew Hemingway can steal enough votes so she loses.
Right, and
now that's commitment to removing somebody from office who has failed to do any of the things they said when they ran.
And you know what's shocking? Again, I'm at the legislature all the time, and there was a
take
bill.
A lot of showers.
Oh. Hazmat suit, but there was a bill that was introduced that wouldn't repeal the death penalty per se. Okay, would suspend it. Until the evidence was absolutely clear that the person was guilty.
Not that we've ever actually used it in recent memory.
No. But if it took me years to come to this position. But if you're pro-life, it's very difficult to justify being pro-death penalty. But this bill was fought tooth and nail to repeal the death penalty in New Hampshire, to even suspend it, because that's what got Kelly Ayotte elected, was putting some guy behind bars, getting the death penalty because he killed a policeman. Now, I'm not saying that killing a policeman is a good thing, all right? But staking out that you're tough on crime and running on the Senate on a death penalty win. And then once you get to Washington, turning into this mashed potato sandwich that absorbs anything that comes along.
And she joined the ruling class.
She joined the ruling class.
She became a junior partner in the Democrat Party, as Skip likes to say. She is what Codevilla goes into detail. Again, American Spectator. American Spectator. Some people on the left would call it that.
We are the expectorate, right?
That's right. The expectorate electorate. We want you to go there and look for this ruling class, Angelo Codevilla.
And then he has a book. Buy his little book.
Or you can buy his book, which is 60, 90 pages, something like that. It's not very long.
160, I think, but it's
still small.
But it's basically just an expansion of the article.
Yes.
I shared the link to the American Spectator article with some friends of mine who've been having a debate about Trump voters and authoritarianism and some other things designed to scare people into thinking he's a Nazi. But I said, well, if you really want to know why this is happening, you need to read this article. It's like 18 pages, but you should read it. And then if you like that, you should go buy the book because it's cheap. You can get it on Kindle and Nook and just tear through it. And then you will have a completely, well, if you are willing to be open-minded, you will have a completely different perspective about yourself and your relationship to what happens in the government.
So, first of all, this is an uprising of populism. 20 years earlier, Buchanan very nearly rode that same wave of populism into the White House for very much the same reasons. The people were totally ticked off at D.C., and it's only gotten worse. And so, we can see this completely.
It's just nuts. So anyway, Kelly Ayotte does have a primary. Maybe
She's
somebody
gonna
else.
Lose. She's going to lose the election.
She's going to lose. She can't beat Maggie Hassan. She never could, primary or not.
It doesn't matter. You could wipe out Stark 360. You could take away Jim Rubin's primary bid. You could take away Andrew Hemingway's threat of
any one of us can tell you. Any one of us can tell you that everybody we talk to, none of them are going to vote for her.
Yeah, exactly. She's going to lose. I have responded to every request for money to help Kelly beat off Hassan with the same thing, which is bring me a candidate and then we'll talk about donations. Kelly is going to lose, guaranteed. It's only a question of at what stage. And Susan, you said something a little while ago that was particularly interesting about them coming through periodically, walking among us, shaking our hands, putting their hands in our pockets, and then going to D.C. and being something completely different. Kelly is absolutely the stereotype, the epitome of that. She walked amongst us in 2010 and tried to be a conservative. The mask was ripped off the first time McCain appeared alongside her. But she tried to appear to be a conservative. She said the right things. She met everybody. She went to every local GOP. She attended gatherings. And then she went to Washington. She didn't attend even the spiffy gatherings unless they were making money for her. She wouldn't show up for things like the Nashua Stakeout, which is a huge event every year. She wouldn't show up for major town party events, never mind small town party events. And all of a sudden this year, as doom is staring her in the face, she's starting to show up. Damn it, you may not be able to see, but we can see, Ms. Ayotte, that it's a pure sham, and we're not buying it.
You know the difference between Kelly Ayotte and Maggie Hassan?
One's honest.
We know how Maggie Hassan will vote.
We do.
Yes.
We do. There's not going to be any surprises there. I may not like her politics, but I absolutely know how she's going to vote. Yeah. And on the rare occasion that she might pleasantly surprise me, that's great. I never am pleasantly surprised by Ms. Ayotte.
No, always disappointed. And
so we warned him. We warned him, and sometimes I bet Ovid
regrets to this day not demanding a recount.
This is taking the belt out and saying this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I had a conversation like this before the last state race. I was working with someone who was challenging an incumbent Republican, alleged Republican, and I sat down with one of the local
that wasn't
party,
booting out the boot in, was it?
I was sitting down with a local party leader, and explaining why we were challenging an incumbent Republican. And the person said to me, well, we need that vote. And I said, no. I said, there are a lot of people like us out there that believe in small government, that believe in limited government, that believe in personal liberty, and that we are willing to burn the party down. He says, but you know what? He says, do you have any idea how long it would take to rebuild? And I said, well, if it could be rebuilt, probably a decade. I said, but that's not the point. The point is that this is not acceptable behavior. And rather than live in uncertainty, in your elected officials know for sure what they're going to do.
That's why crony capitalism works.
Of course it does.
You go out and you okay.
Them
so
votes don't buy themselves.
Campaign finance laws.
Yeah.
We're going to stop these companies and these businesses and these rich individuals from investing in these super PACs so that they can say what they think about an issue or a politician. Instead, we're going to encourage them to send lobbyists to Washington, D.C., where we're not going to see a damn thing they do, and they're going to have just as much influence, if not more.
If not more.
Retards.
The Senate hearing was, the House Finance Committee was populated by lobbyists.
Those people,
period, stop.
Those people are paying taxes. They're going to get taxed. They want control over how they get taxed.
Yes.
And if they can go down and control how they get taxed and predict how they get taxed, they can operate in the marketplace that's created for them.
Yes.
So I'm going to close here with an appeal to our listeners. Miss Susan has made a request of me which I've been unable to fulfill. We want to take a LaChance on Rick. On Joe LaChance. The problem is there's precious few good pictures out there. There's a full-face grayscale picture and a fairly poor color picture. I need a sort of half or three-quarter profile of Joe LaChance in color, any reasonable size that you found from an event, from a blog, from a newspaper. Mugshot. It has to be at least partly.
He's threatened to expose me, and I want to be prepared.
Yes, he's going to expose you.
He's threatened me.
At least partly turned, because we have a target picture that we want to fit his face into, and I don't have enough to work with.
Yeah.
And so in order for me to fulfill my obligation to the lovely Miss Susan here and to...
and you want to do that.
Yeah. and to make a little fun, to take a chance on Joe, I need a good picture. So, folks, you don't like Medicaid expansion. You don't like the cronyism that is actually making our hospitals more expensive than they need to be. You got a good picture of LaChance? I'd like it, please.
All right, that's our cue.
Wow, it goes so fast.
We got through it. If you've watched this on Grok Talk, thank you. We will have a podcast up for you in a couple of hours. So thank you very much. Everybody have a great day. We'll be back next week with Power Chords.
Indeed.
And audio stream. So we'll see you. Need more Grok Talk? Well, you can catch new shows Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Miss a show? Not a problem. Past shows are rebroadcast here daily from 9 to 11 a.m. Monday through Friday. Join us for 2 hours of unapologetic conservatism. And we're not just armed with opinions.
Grok Talk.